Tu Diep greeted everyone with a warm smile. Hello everyone. It's such a joy and happiness to meet all of you again in today's video. Thank you all for always caring and following me. A phone call came for James' father and he answered. I've prepared all the documents you need. I'll be there right away. Then he glanced at the family photo and silently thought to himself, Son, even if I lose this entire company, I will protect you and save you. Turning to his wife, he said, Don't worry, my dear. I will protect our son. That night, Diep couldn't sleep. She stood by the door, and when she saw James' father walking out, she hurriedly asked, How is James? Could you tell me how he's doing? Uncle, please tell me how James is doing. I'm really worried about him. Can you let me know? Diep continued anxiously. James' father replied, This is a matter for my family. You don't need to worry. Please go back. I will take care of it. With that, he got into his car and drove off. Diep thought to herself, I think I have to follow him. She immediately jumped onto the back of the truck and followed him. On the other side, John was sitting with his associates, discussing the plan with an air of tension. The room felt heavy as he asked, How's the plan going? Everything is fine, sir. The old man will come and sign the papers, and then we'll handle everything. One of his men replied. John looked at his watch and smiled confidently. Take James away and handle it immediately. Soon after, James' father's phone rang, and he answered with a serious tone. I've arrived. Where are you? Just go straight ahead. I'll be there shortly, John replied. Stepping out of his car, Mr. James entered the room, his voice commanding, Please sit down. Mr. James coldly asked, Where is my son? John, with determined eyes, answered, What do you want? I want all of your timber companies to be under my name. Mr. James' eyes narrowed with suspicion as he replied, What do you offer to ensure that once I sign the transfer papers, you'll release my son? John responded without hesitation, I give you my word of honor as assurance. Mr. James scoffed. I know you're seeking revenge on me and my company, but I haven't done anything to your father. John, unwilling to speak further, said harshly, Just sign it for me, no more words. Mr. James sighed, looking at the pile of papers on the desk and said, I've prepared everything you need. Take a look. John waited for him to sign, his eyes fixed on the pen. All right, sign it here for me. Meanwhile, two of John's men stood outside, tense and wondering about the meeting location of Mr. James. Do you guys know where John is meeting my father? One of them asked. From what I know, it's over there, another replied. Back inside, James was staging a scene with intense drama. The thugs were untying him, and James silently thanked them. He quickly asked, Have you called the police yet? Yes, I've reported it. One of the thugs replied. James continued, Untie me then. With a serious look, James asked, Can I borrow your phone? What's the password? James asked as he quickly searched for information. My phone isn't answering. I'll have to go there myself, James sighed. Do you need us to go with you for help? One of the men asked. No, it's fine, James shook his head. You've already helped me a lot. The police should be arriving soon. If anything happens, you should leave to ensure your safety. If you need anything, just contact me directly. After signing the papers, Mr. James stood up, his face cold. I've signed it. Now where is my son? John pointed toward the distance. Your son is over there. Mr. James angrily responded. Just go straight over there and you'll see your son. But his eyes glimmered with doubt. I don't believe it. If I don't see my son, I won't believe it. John sneered. I already have your companies, so why would I need to hold your son anymore? The two locked eyes, tension thick in the air. Mr. James walked off, but the uncertainty in his heart still lingered. Mr. James had just turned his back to walk away when one of the thugs lunged at him, holding a bat, intending to strike him on the head. Diep, who had been watching from a distance, immediately dashed forward to protect him. Uncle, be careful, Diep shouted, throwing herself in front of Mr. James. The thug's bat hit her instead, and she collapsed to the ground unconscious. Diep! Mr. James shouted in panic, rushing to her side. Are you okay? At that very moment, James arrived on the scene. Oh, Diep? What happened to you? James exclaimed, kneeling beside her. "You have to go up and check on her. Hurry." "Wait, hold on. Stop right there," James shouted at the thugs who were preparing to act. "Stop. Deep, don't be hurt. Hold up. Stop right now." James's voice was full of urgency as he reached for his phone to call for help. "Stop right there. Don't move," Mr. James shouted, feeling the heat of the situation. "I'm not running away. I'm not going anywhere. Move faster. Get to the station," the thug shouted, now taking charge of the situation. "Quick. Hurry up," another thug yelled as they rushed forward, trying to take control. James, standing firm, urged, "Hurry. We need to get to the police station now. Quickly, move it," he shouted, but his heart raced with worry for Deep. As they sped towards safety, James kept his attention on Deep, still unconscious. "Deep? Come on, wake up. Hang in there just a little longer. The doctor is coming now." He quickly grabbed his phone, dialing urgently. "Hello, come quickly and help me. Why did you let her come with you, Dad? You said no, but how did she end up following us?" James's voice trembled with concern. Mr. James, feeling conflicted, responded, "I've always disliked her, but today, she took a hit for me. How do you think I feel now?" James sighed deeply. "All the troubles, the company issues, even my personal relationships, everything, Dad, has led to this moment. I'm sorry for saying it like this, but it's the truth. If you hadn't crossed paths with John's family, none of this would have happened," James added with frustration. "I truly haven't done anything to harm John's family, but why does he think I did?" Mr. James questioned, feeling helpless. James looked away, trying to process his emotions. Maybe John doesn't know the full truth yet, and that's why he's doing all this. "But when you came back here, everything was peaceful," James continued. "It wasn't until you came back to Vietnam that things started to spiral out of control." He turned to his father, his face filled with regret. "I'm sorry, Dad, but the reality is that all this chaos, from the company to my personal life, started with your decisions." Mr. James looked shaken, as though the weight of his actions had finally sunk in. "I'm sorry for what happened. I didn't want any of this to happen, especially to you, Deep." He glanced at her, still unconscious, and added, "But if anything happens to her, I won't forgive myself." James held Deep's hand, his voice soft yet filled with determination. "I'm sorry that you were put in harm's way, but everything has been part of the plan. I couldn't tell you because I was afraid the plan would be exposed, and John would escape again. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you better, Deep. Wake up, please. We need to go back to our peaceful life together with hockey. Just the three of us living in peace in a little house without stress or danger." He took a deep breath and whispered, "We'll grow vegetables and raise fish together in peace." At the hospital, a doctor arrived. "Hello, I'm the doctor. I just received a call from you. Please come in and examine the patient," James said, ushering the doctor in. The doctor examined Deep. "What happened to her?" "She was struck on the back of the head by someone. I want to make sure she's okay, since the hospital is quite far. Please check on her," James urged. The doctor nodded and started his examination. "I'll check her condition. Please step outside for a moment." "Thank you, doctor," James said, stepping aside. Inside, the doctor began his work. "She's bruised badly," he noted with concern. "Could you get me a bowl of warm water to clean her wounds?" the doctor asked. "I'll take care of her now." "Of course, doctor. I'll bring it right away," James's assistant replied. As the doctor prepared the supplies, James turned to his father. "Dad, you stay here and take care of Deep. I need to go take care of the situation with the police." "Where are you going, Dad?" James asked. "I'm going to report the kidnapping and handle everything with the police," Mr. James replied firmly. The tension was palpable as they rushed to ensure Deep received the care she needed, all while the web of secrets, lies, and danger continued to unfold. "Please, doctor, have a seat," James said, gesturing toward the chair in the small room. "Would you like some water, doctor?" he offered, trying to mask his anxiety. The doctor nodded, settling into the chair as he glanced at Deep, still unconscious. "So, doctor, how is the patient? How's she doing?" James asked, his voice laced with worry. The doctor took a deep breath. The patient is stable for now. The wound is quite severe, but it's not life-threatening yet. We'll have to wait until she wakes up to assess her condition further. James clenched his fists. What should we do? What's the next step? You should take her for an X-ray as soon as she wakes up to check for any internal injuries, the doctor replied firmly. It's crucial to understand the full extent of the damage. James felt his heart race. Is it too dangerous? Is she at risk? Though she's stable for the moment, don't take it lightly, the doctor cautioned. Her blood pressure is unstable. She might have been without food for days. When she regains consciousness, you should take her for an X-ray to get a clearer picture of her condition. James nodded, his mind racing with worry. Thank you, doctor. We'll wait for her to wake up, and I'll take her for an X-ray right away. The doctor stood up, preparing to leave. You're welcome. I'll take my leave now. Be sure to keep a close watch on her. As the doctor left, James sat by Diep's side, watching her intently, the tension thick in the air. Diep, don't do this to me. Please don't be hurt, he whispered, his voice strained with emotion. Hang in there just a little longer. He took a deep breath, his mind racing. I'll go make some porridge. When you wake up you can eat, okay? I promise it'll be good. He stood up and moved to the kitchen, but his thoughts kept drifting back to her. How badly was she hurt? Was she going to be okay? Hours passed and James stayed by her side. He had made the porridge, hoping that when she woke up, it would bring some comfort. Diep, wake up. I've made you some porridge. It's really good, I promise, he said softly, holding the steaming bowl near her face. The smell of the porridge was inviting, but the silence in the room was deafening. Diep, come on, wake up, he urged, gently shaking her hand. How are you feeling? He waited for a response, his heart thumping in his chest. If you're awake, you need to eat, Diep. Please. I made this just for you. He paused, watching her carefully. All right, I'll leave it here for you. You can eat when you're ready. As he stood there, a nagging fear gnawed at him. The waiting felt endless, and the uncertainty about her condition grew by the second. Would she be okay? Or had the attack left her with more damage than anyone had anticipated? James sat in a daze, lost in thought. He couldn't help but think about the house where he and Diep lived. Hockey must have been left hungry all day. He thought with a pang of guilt. He sighed heavily, looking at Diep. I'll go take care of Hockey for you, all right? And I'll also look after the chickens and ducks. You just rest, Diep. I'll come back later and bring you some food. His heart was heavy with worry. I hope you'll be okay, he whispered to her, gently brushing her hair from her face. If something happens to you, I don't know how I'll live. I can't imagine life without you. James stood up, his resolve strengthening. I'll leave the porridge here for you. When you wake up, you can eat. He paused, giving her one last look before heading out. I'll feed Hockey and the animals, then I'll be back in a bit. After a short walk to the shed, James called out softly. Hockey, are you all alone here? He crouched down and petted the dog. Do you miss us? He asked, smiling as Hockey wagged his tail. You've been such a good boy, James murmured. In a little while, I'll give you something to eat. He stood up and headed to the chicken coop, pausing for a moment to check on the ducks. I need to feed the chickens and ducks first, then I'll get back to you. James fed the animals, his mind preoccupied with Diep's condition. I can't believe how much they've grown, he thought as he scattered food for the chickens. You guys must be starving, huh? He said as he filled their troughs. Wait for me, I'll bring you food soon. Once the animals were fed, James returned to Hockey. All right, Hockey, let's head back inside, he said, smiling at the dog. Come on, let's go home now. He turned back toward the house, muttering, just a little longer, hang in there, Hockey. When he returned to the house, he looked at Diep again, feeling a knot form in his stomach. Why hasn't she woken up yet? He thought, his worry deepening. Hockey, here's your food, he said, taking the bowl of food from his bag. Let me give this to you. As he placed the food down for Hockey, he spoke softly. Eat up, boy. After you're done, you'll take care of the house for Diep. Okay? Tomorrow or the day after, I'll bring her back here to be with you. Hockey ate eagerly, and James rubbed his head. Eat well, stay here and protect the house. I have to go now. He stood up and looked back at Diep's still form. Diep, you're still not awake? His voice cracked slightly with frustration. Minutes passed, and the tension in the room felt unbearable. Why hasn't she woken up yet? He whispered, pacing. I just hope she'll wake up soon. James kept glancing at her, his hope wavering as he stood by her side, waiting for her to stir.